Welcome to episode 2 of Soup Chat, the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper podcast series for 2023. In this episode, I'll be catching up with Kat from the Harbour Street Collective and talking about her beautiful miso soup with dumpling. I'll also be talking to one of the inspirations behind the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper, Jane from Moa Bakery and Cakery. And we'll round the episode off with a chat to Caidee Pennycook from Short Black Cafe. Enjoy. We're moving on to another soup in the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper down at the Harbour Street Collective, talking with Kat about the miso soup with dumpling. Kat, what inspired this recipe?
Here at the Collective, we do make sushi 6 days a week, and I've always wanted to add a miso soup offering with that because I love just drinking a cup of miso soup, especially in the wintertime. So this was kind of the push that I needed to actually get miso soup onto the menu. And the dumpling was just adding something a bit creative, something fun. It's been a little bit of a quieter season right now, so it's time to we have time to get a bit more creative and put a bit more energy into smaller details like this, which is really nice.
So talk us through what's in the soup.
So the soup is a miso broth, and it has 2 mushroom dumplings, which we make here, as well as roast squash, some grilled mushrooms, and we also use spring onions and some seaweed to top it off.
It's quite a collection of different ingredients that you wouldn't necessarily think would work together, but it does so well.
Yeah, I love miso soup, and I just wanted to make it a bit more of a filling soup to have it actually on our lunch menu. And I just wanted to give it a bit more complex flavors coming through.
So miso soup would be your go-to soup for comfort?
Oh, my go-to easy soup, yeah. Just when especially working at the cafe, I sometimes find myself drinking too much coffee or tea throughout the day. And just a nice hot beverage that isn't going to add to my caffeine for the day.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I guess, part and parcel of it, when you're actually surrounded by food, you're making food all day, the last thing sometimes you want to do is actually think about food.
Absolutely, yep.
But you need to have that nutrition so you can actually come back and do it again another day.
Yep, absolutely.
So tell us a wee bit about what you do down here at the Collective.
It's quite a big space. We have our cabinet food, our breakfast and lunch and brunch menu, as well as sushi every day except for Monday. And then we also have our kids area with our kids playground, and we do birthday parties out there. And we've also got some space upstairs rented out to artists, and there's a secondhand shop upstairs. And then we have a space out back, which we're actually looking to rent out now. We've had a few shops have some interest in that space out back. And yeah, it all falls under the Collective, so we did quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, we get a lot of families through. We have quite a variety of people who come through the cafe with the kids' playground, as well as with their coffees. And yeah, we get kind of a bit of everyone. So we do have quite a few different price points that we try to meet, and quite a few different food intolerances and allergies. We have a lot of gluten-free, a lot of vegan, a lot of people who enjoy a bit of variety. So we put it all together here.
Where are you from, and how long have you been in town?
So I'm originally from Canada. My dad's from Christchurch. So I've been in New Zealand for around 14 years now, I think, in total, but I've gone back and forth quite a few times. So I grew up near Toronto and spent some time out west in Canada. Moved over here to Christchurch, and I've lived in Christchurch and in Wellington, and I've been in Oamaru for 14 months now. I moved down when I bought the cafe.
And Harbour Street, did it just sort of ring a few bells for you?
Oh, I love the cafe, yeah. I knew the cafe before I bought it, and I've always loved it. And I had kind of been looking around at cafes for sale either in Canada or in Wellington. And as I was kind of browsing what was available, I really wanted a space that had community space in it. And the places I was looking at in Wellington that I could afford were tiny little shop fronts. Whereas down here, I was able to come into this space that has kind of spaces available for any activities that we wanted to do here. Lots of space to be creative and to bring different people in to contribute in different ways. And so we're still kind of working on that and getting different people in to contribute to the space. But yeah, I absolutely love the cafe already, and was really really excited when I saw that it was for sale and that it was an actual possibility for me. Moved down to Oamaru for the cafe, and it's been amazing.
It really is an amazing space down at the Harbour Street Collective. Our thanks to Kat for catching up. Now, one of the inspirations behind the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper is Jane Thompson from Moa Bakery, and I caught up with Jane to talk about her delicious super green soup. Are we allowed to say that during an election campaign?
I think we can. I think we'll get away with it. It's more spinach than political. Yeah.
More spinach than spin, which is refreshing to know. What are super greens and why are they so important?
Well, I think spinach is a super green because it's really good for you. It's easily available. It's not expensive most of the time, unless there's been a cyclone or something like that and we can't get it. But generally, it's vegetables that are high in antioxidants, which is most vegetables. And we're really lucky here because with the Oamaru Organics stall, we can get stuff straight from the paddock. You know, it might only be an hour since it was picked if you get your timing right. It hasn't been on a truck from the North Island down to here and sat in a warehouse somewhere or whatever they do with things. Yeah.
We don't have pre-wilted greens on that kind of thing.
No, we've got to wilt them ourselves.
Or, as you say, use them straight away. And those fresh ingredients, and I guess seasonal ingredients, is also really important.
Seasonal ingredients is super important because it makes things more affordable. It means things are fresher, and then the things like the antioxidants and all of the minerals and vitamins are there because it's in season. It hasn't had to be trucked from halfway around the world, halfway around the country, so it's all there.
And they go a long way too, don't they?
Really do. In my soup, I'm not sure if the recipe's been published on the Waitaki app page or on the website, but it uses a whole cauliflower and a whole broccoli and like a bunch of spinach, and that makes a big pot full. So, you know, you could feed a lot of people with that.
And of course, it's not just one day either, because if you freeze soup afterwards, you know, you've always got an instant meal in the freezer.
Exactly, yeah. And I put a lot in jars and just, you know, put a boiling water in your jar before, tip it out, pour your hot soup in, put the lid on, and it vacuum seals.
What a great tip. That is a fantastic tip.
Yeah. Saves on freezer room.
Absolutely right. Now, with the recipe, what was the inspiration behind this particular recipe for you?
I found it online several years ago, and I think I'd read through it and thought, oh yeah, that sounds really good, and then never did anything about it, and it got lost into the ether somewhere. And so I just sort of made it from vague memory, and yeah, it's been a winner.
So it's something you eat yourself?
Yes, definitely. And I made it at home one time a few years ago, and I had friends staying, and we all had a bowl full, and both my friends went back for seconds, and my friend Laura says, oh, what's in it? And I said, it's got broccoli, cauliflower and spinach. And Aaron goes, oh my God, that's my 3 most hated vegetables. As he went and scooped it out, another bowl full.
So I guess a really good way of getting those 5 a day into your kids or into the rest of the family and yourself indeed, without sort of feeling like you are having to do it under pain.
Definitely. It's kind of like a hot savoury smoothie in a way. Like a smoothie is a really good way to sort of hide stuff and get it in, and yeah, soup's the same.
I mean, we're in spring now, and people traditionally think of soup as being a winter dish. But of course, we've got fairly variable weather in spring in North Otago, so it's a good opportunity to just extend it really in some of those cold evenings too.
Definitely, and we always get those kind of like we think it's spring, then the next minute it's snowing kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good thing to have on hand, or to have that recipe sort of in the back of your mind that you can quickly whip something up.
How long does it take to make?
Maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. By the time you chop your veg, fry off your onion a wee bit with your turmeric, and then put in some stock, chuck your chopped cauliflower and broccoli in, cook them up for like 5 minutes, and put the spinach in, put coconut cream, and then whir it all up. Easy peasy.
Fantastic. And as you say, the recipe will be available either on the Waitaki app or possibly on the Facebook page. Tell us a wee bit about Moa Bakery as well.
So I started Moa Bakery back in 2015 when I moved down here from Auckland, and there was nothing vegan available in any of the cafes, and I sort of did whinge about it for a while, and I kind of thought is not actually helping. So I started Moa Bakery just at the Sunday farmers market, so everything is vegan and gluten-free. So it is good for people who have those sort of dietary requirements, dairy-free, gluten-free, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Are you finding that there's more intolerance on foods as we sort of progress through time?
It seems to be. There seems to be a lot more people coming and saying, oh, my so-and-so has been just diagnosed with celiacs or is lactose intolerant or, all those things. Yeah, so it does seem to be, sadly, a growing market. Yeah.
And I guess that to that end then, the more natural and the more you know what comes from where your food is actually coming from and how it's produced and how you make it, that's even more important.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I try to do with all the food that I produce is to have it as minimally processed as possible and not have ingredients in that you don't know what they are, like no E numbers and, any of those kind of things with great big long scientific names. Yeah.
Or shorter abbreviations as well.
Yes, that you've just got no idea what they are. Yeah.
Hey, look, thanks very much for your time, Jane. If people want to get in touch with you at Moa Bakery, how can they do that?
They can look me up on Facebook or Instagram, or they can find my website, which is moabakerycakery.com, or they can do a Google search and I'll come up on that, and it's got my phone number and my email and everything.
Now, from a vegan soup to anything but, the Spud, Cobb and Hog down at Short Black is something to behold. Well known for creating all sorts of amazing dishes and coming up with some fairly creative names as well, I think. Short Black have got the Spud, Hog and Cobb soup on as part of the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper, which I thought was the hardest part to say, but it's not. Catching up with Caidee, talk us through, what is the Spud, Hog and Cobb?
It is a potato, bacon and corn chowder, so it's quite thick with chunks of potato on it, bits of corn and bacon as well.
So where did the inspiration come from?
It actually came from, I'm pregnant at the moment and I had a craving for potatoes. That's about the only thing I felt like eating at the start, and I said, let's make a potato soup, so we did.
Well, first of all, congratulations, and secondly of all, have you managed to leave some for everybody else?
Yes, just a little bit though.
It's funny, isn't it, how the inspiration comes from different places and different ways, and I guess the other thing about it, of course, is that all of those, you can readily get those ingredients.
Yes, you can. Yep, we get our bacons from Campbell's Butchery, and then we either get veggies locally from Veggie Joe's or Mean Greens.
So we know where the inspiration came from. Where did the recipe come from?
We don't really use recipes here for soup. We kind of chuck things together and then modify it as we taste it. So one of the girls, Bailey here, actually made it first of all, and then when the soup sipper came out, we actually had to go back and figure out what we'd put in it and write the ingredients down. Did you have to reverse engineer? Yes, we did, yep.
Are you going, no, that's still not quite it, still not quite it. By the end of it, you would have been sick of soup, I suppose.
Yes, we were. I was definitely full of potato.
Fair enough. Tell us a wee bit about Short Black.
I like to say we're quite busy and we do a great range of gluten-free food, fair trade organic coffee, and we also offer a lot of alternative milks, which a lot of people seem to get these days. Definitely oat milk is the most popular.
It's what I have, I must admit. Oat milk is, I started moving away from cow's milk to almond milk, and then oat milk. I find oat milk just works really, really well with things.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say oat milk tastes the most similar to normal milk. It doesn't have like the nutty taste that you get from almond and stuff, and it's easier to froth for us baristas. We like using oat milk too.
And I guess that's the thing as well, isn't it? You know, there's so many different people with different dietary requirements these days, and you cater for all of that.
Yes, yep, we do. We definitely try to anyway.
As far as the soup is concerned, dine-in or do you do takeaway options too?
We do both. So you can either dine in a full serve or a half serve, since potato is quite filling. And then we just do the takeaway in our large coffee cups with or without bread as well.
So there you go, 3 very different soups for you to try as part of the Waitaki Super Soup Sipper. Our thanks to Kat, Jane and also Caidee for their time. Join us again soon for the final episode of Soup Chat.